What are we talking about? My name is Jamie Jakes with Andrew and Miles, and this is a very special segment because it will not be hosted by myself. It will be hosted by Mr. Andrew. Andrew, tell us what you want to tell us about the Chicago Bears.
After this last week of just absolute embarrassment on the field, off the field, they are the worst franchise in all professional sports. You had $100,000 worth of equipment stolen from the stadium, including pads, lawn mowing equipment, just walking out. You have a defensive coordinator who resigns abruptly amid, weird Twitter chatter. We'll just leave it there. And then you show up to Arrowhead and you get boat raced. It's so bad. They just, they cut the game off early, even though Taylor Swift's still hanging out eating chicken tendies. It was an embarrassment. This is a team, an organization that just continually drafts the wrong player, hires the worst coaches, and just is stuck in a form of football that is so bad. It just belongs in 1989.
Was that a Taylor Swift joke? Because that was beautiful if it was.
Sort of. I agree with you. By the way, we didn't mention that maybe if the Browns aren't the leaders in the AFC, maybe now that Taylor Swift is on the Chiefs has a lot better chance if the script writers have anything to say about it. But yeah, I think the Bears, we talked about them earlier. I think after week one, we had a segment of 3 teams in the NFL that I think I could literally coach better than the current head coach, and the Bears were the first on the list. Doesn't make sense the way they're using Justin Fields. He's a freak athlete. Use him like a freak athlete. Have him run the football. They're not using DJ Moore very well. They're not getting guys. Their best players are their running backs. So why isn't this a rushing heavy team? Even all the way down to Roschon Johnson, who's RB2 or 3 now still. I don't get it with what the direction is at the Bears. And then you just have things that happen to bad football teams, your head coach or your whatever defensive coordinator gets indicted and has to resign. That's never a good sign. You got Chase Claypool over there that you basically gave a first-round draft pick for, a late first-round draft pick after the Miami Dolphins lost.
And that dude he's not bad. He just doesn't, he looks like he's not even trying.
I didn't like the trade at the time. I don't like it even more now. I don't think Chase Claypool has it, and I don't think he wants to have it. But
I think the second one's the bigger indicator of his position, though. I think that he could have it if he even had an ounce of effort. But I just recently watched.
What do you expect?
I just recently watched somebody put a clip of all the plays that he just gave up early on, and it's damning. It is.
Oh yeah.
3 seconds before the whistle goes off, and he's just I'm not gonna get there anyway.
There were people calling him out week one, talking about, hey, there's a guy, we're not even gonna say his name in this game. They didn't even say the team. They just said the Bears and whoever the Bears played week one. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they were there's one guy we're not gonna say him. And I was ooh, I bet I know who that is. I bet that's Chase Claypool. Sure enough, that's exactly who it is. Okay, so we had this discussion previous to the show starting, and we're let's pull up these odds for first head coach to be fired. And we have them right here, Miles. This is your first time looking at him. Head coach for the Raiders, Josh McDaniels at plus 150. Matt Eberflus, the guy we were talking about, plus 175, the number 2 odds-on favorite to get fired. Ron Rivera, who I believe is 2-1 right now, has a winning record to start the season.
But still coming in third. That's winning on both sides of the ball right there.
I guess so. He must have been a heavy favorite to be number 1 fired preseason. So that's kind of what we're seeing right now. But he's got a great running back in Brian Robinson. I think he's going to have to make a tough starting quarterback decision very soon with Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett on the bench over there. Kevin O'Connell, number 3. I guess they're 0-3, but this guy, last time I checked, made the playoffs, won the division last year. So I don't know why you would turn and fire him just because.
Well, and that's noted in the odds too. There's a significant jump out of the top 3.
Good point, Miles. There is a massive drop off after Ron Rivera, which honestly I would, put Ron Rivera into this tier. So if you're betting Ron Rivera to be first head coach right now, wait a second.
Again, while he has a winning record, at least let him lose 2 more before you jump to any conclusions.
They are an 0-3, but they got Tannehill and like what seems to sadly be the corpse of Derrick Henry playing for them. Only got 17 snaps last week. Just like really.
I think Sean Payton's more likely to die of embarrassment than he is to get fired at this point.
Yeah, they traded draft picks to bring in Sean Payton. I don't think Sean Payton's there just to goof around. I would say probably they get a new quarterback there before Sean Payton leaves.
I'm honestly surprised that Salah isn't higher up on the list, both based on the personal bias of this podcast and just the fact that he has no tools left.
So yeah, last week we did a personal rant, a personal attack on Robert Salah, his character and his ability to coach a NFL football team with adults on it. And we're just like, as a podcast, totally out on Salah. I think the only thing kind of keeping him in outside of that top tier, that top 3, is the weird situation with Aaron Rodgers and him coming back next year and Aaron Rodgers signing on the team, understanding that Robert Salah would be in charge. Now, maybe they fire Salah and they just put basically as a figurehead Nathaniel Hackett as head coach, and then Aaron Rodgers just runs the team like he was supposed to run the team this year. I think that's really like the miscalculation. Yeah, that would be really, really weird. Jets lose out, get the first overall draft pick, have Robert Salah sitting there like, hey, are we going to fire this guy or not? And then
that's a good point that Salah really was supposed to have an NPC role this season, and Aaron Rodgers just screwed the pooch.
Yeah, Aaron was supposed to run this team, and that's why I like the team so much when Aaron was in charge. Like, I don't like Robert. When he came on, I'm like, I don't like this offensive line. I don't like the turf at MetLife, and I don't like Robert Salah. And now we're kind of seeing that maybe I should have thought a little bit more with my brain before I invested so much in the Jets this year. Yeah, and just
dude, it's that's the effect of Hard Knocks, dude. It got me too. That show is emotional crack for dudes.
Yeah, I was big on the Jets before the Hard Knocks. The Hard Knocks was just a little cherry on top to be like, yeah, I believe what I believe for a reason. And it was a good call at the time, but shit happens. That's fantasy football, baby. And then getting back to Brandon Staley, which I think is should be number 1 on this list in my opinion. Maybe I make a little, like a little $15 bet when I get off of here on Staley. If I get him at
you're gonna get good odds if you do, man.
Yeah, that seems like he would be my number 1 outside of maybe Eberflus. But
that would be my bet.
Is he's not been there for that long, so maybe the Bears are just a little bit more patient with Eberflus, and I think
they have proven that they will commit to a bad, like somebody bad in that position for a while. So
So the Bears have never fired a coach in season. However, I don't know if the Bears have ever had a coach who's gone a 13-game losing streak.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Broncos blow them out this week and they look as dead as they did last week, they might can him. I don't know. He's dead man walking. When's their bye week? He's probably going to get fired right before their bye week.
Yeah, so I think, Andrew, what you do is you just bet $10 on Eberflus as a safety net, and then you put $10 on Brandon Staley. That way, either way, worst case scenario, you make $750 back. Best case scenario, Brandon Staley gets canned. Justin Fields figures it out for a couple of weeks, keeps Eberflus alive, and Staley is out the door. He's talking in press conferences, kind of backpedaling, and whenever you hear people backpedal in press conferences and kind of talking the way they do with their voice cracking as a head coach in the NFL, you're like, this guy thinks he's going to get fired. So I think Brandon Staley and Matt Eberflus, bet on both of them, and then just hope that Justin Fields kind of figures it out in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, on that last note there, Brandon Staley probably had the second worst coaching decision, going for it on 4th and short from their own zone, getting stuffed after not being able to run the ball all game. Should not have been a surprise to them. Josh Kelly has been horrible as the running back now that Eckler is down, which was surprising because he played so well week 1. Josh Kelly did. That definitely happened. I don't know where that player is anymore, but he's not in the Chargers. And then what was you think the worst coaching decision of the weekend is? Anybody want to think of one? I don't know.
I'm going on McDaniels kicking that damn field goal with on the 8-yard line with like 2 minutes and 30 seconds left with 3 timeouts in his pocket and a 2-minute warning on the horizon. What the fuck was he thinking?
What
if
the
you
fuck
kick
was
the
he
field
thinking?
goal and you stop them, you still need a touchdown. It just made no sense. It was the craziest thing ever. However, if you were stopped on 4th and goal on the 8, they would have to march that way 92 yards or whatever.
Yeah.
It made no sense to me. It was the worst coaching decision since Pete Carroll threw it on the 1-yard line on the Super Bowl.
A little higher stakes there for sure. But yeah, that was just bizarre. We were watching it live, and like when you're watching it live, we're doing the commentary. We can't really hear what's going on in the game, and like, did we miss something? Like, is the center hurt, or is this like what happened? Why are we? And they're like, well, if you kick the field goal, you still got to score two scores to win the game. But I'm like, yeah, but you get overtime if you tie it, you idiot. Like, you get more time to win the game or tie the game, which is better than a loss. Man, that just did not make any sense at all. So probably kind of makes sense that Josh McDaniels is that high up. But I think they're going to give him a little bit more time there. And I think there is just a screaming value on Eberflus and on Brandon Staley way lower down on that list.